Welcome to Outta Class, for all those lessons you didn't learn in school. Your overall health, fitness and well-being starts with the right mindset and having those meaningful conversations. This is your host, Grant Roberts. Let's get into it.
I'll teach you a lesson now.
Welcome back, everyone. Or for those, if it's your first time, welcome to the Outta Class Podcast for all the things you didn't learn in school. I'm really enjoying the momentum I'm having with this podcast right now. Very inspired and motivated to do it for many reasons, which I'll get into over time. But I want to thank all those who have been engaging, viewing, listening to, whether it's on Spotify or watching me on YouTube like this if you're watching along, and just giving me positive feedback. Even I'm encouraging you to give me negative feedback if needed. Critique me as much as you need to, because I want to make this podcast the best that it can possibly be and as valuable and as enjoyable also. So this podcast titled Real Coaches versus Instagram Influencers. Pretty much as the title says, I think it's concerning these days. So I wanted to cover this topic and hopefully help you, more than anything, differentiate between a health professional, somebody trained in the health, fitness, or even medical space versus what we know today as Instagram influencers. Because I believe there is almost a gray area when it comes to knowing who can actually help you, not just knowledge-wise or experience-wise or qualified-wise, but also safely. That is the biggest concern I see for myself and a lot of other reputable coaches, is the safety part of giving health and fitness advice, which is usually a lot of the time, as I will show you or talk to you about in this podcast, overlooked a lot of the time. And also more concerning is the fact that there isn't many consequences. There's grey areas as far as rules and regulations in the fitness and health industry. So I guess what I'm trying to do with this podcast is give you the tools to be able to differentiate between somebody who is going to really be able to help you with your goals. It might be with your health concerns. It might even be with your medical or health issues. You might have some kind of disease or impairment, and getting the right advice is obviously very important. It could even be, not to sound dramatic, a life and death decision on your behalf and who you choose. So, like I said, there is a grey line, because obviously even the health professionals these days, I remember when I started out in the coaching space, I got my PT qualification and I started training people in the gym. Social media, even Instagram, didn't really hardly exist when I started. I think it kind of started maybe a few years. Instagram only came out maybe 2 or 3 years before I started in the fitness industry. So if you have a look at it now, might be showing my age or just my experience. But these days, reputable coaches, doctors, very high tier coaches, you would say, or medical professionals are even having to become influencers themselves these days, creating memes and videos. If you watch my social media, a lot of it is just almost like a comedy act, but I do try and have some kind of knowledge or some kind of valuable information in what I post and make it relatable. But as you would see in the space now, it has become a bit of a circus in a lot of ways. And another reason why I started this podcast is for that reason. This long form filming allows me to go more in depth with topics that I want to cover and hopefully give you more value on the health and fitness space, but also just life in general, and have meaningful conversations and really delve deep into things, because the algorithm on Instagram, Facebook, all these types of things is short form, very short attention span, targeted content, which means you can't really get your points across and it doesn't get pushed up in the algorithm for people to see. If you look at the difference in views, I showed a comparison a little while ago on my Instagram story, and it showed one of my 10-second videos is the highest viewed and shared and liked post that I've ever done, and it was just 10 seconds. It was a 10-second reel, went viral, and then all my what I would consider very valuable topics that I cover in videos that might go for like a minute and a half, and I literally like this, me talking to you about something important, might only get a couple hundred if lucky. So that's why I want to delve into this, and also because I see some concerning things happening in this space. Rambling on, as you know, if you can hear that dog barking, I'm sorry. That's just, if you've watched my other episodes or listened to them, hopefully you can't hear it, but it is annoying sometimes when I am filming. So the first point I want to make, this is a very important point when it comes to differentiating between a quality coach and an Instagram influencer. The amount of followers on social media does not equate to knowledge of physiology or nutrition or experience. People can literally buy their followers for starters, but not only that, people can be in a fitness space or a health space and have followers for many different reasons, and most of the time it isn't because they are a quality coach or an expert in the field that they are promoting. This might sound a little bit, I mean, I guess it goes both ways. It's not going to sound sexist because it's both genders experience this, males and females. A lot of the time they'll get followed because their followers think they're attractive. They're attractive to look at. Their lifestyle they're portraying might be attractive to follow along. So majority of the time they're not following along with these people because they're having in-depth conversations and giving you amazing value as far as knowledge goes or expertise in the health and fitness space. It's more so people are following along with their lifestyles, or they just find them attractive and want to look at all their photos and like all their photos and shoot their shot per se. That's why the algorithm too promotes this sort of thing and pushes it to the top. So I've looked at comparisons as far as photos go on Instagram, and as soon as I take my shirt off, I'm just saying this me, if you take your shirt off, you show a bit of skin, show your body, the engagement is crazy compared to sitting like this and just talking in front of a camera about something that might be very valuable. You can take a selfie of yourself and it can get 300,000 views and likes and shares, but if you start to talk about things that are actually important and valuable, it might be about attaining a body like somebody you follow, or just living a fit and healthy lifestyle. Those things just don't get any engagement at all, which is very sad. But that is my first point, without rambling on, is followers do not equate to experience. So that is the first thing you need to realize. There is so many amazing coaches out there, small followings, but some of the best coaches in the world, and it's just unfortunate that they either aren't really good at creating content or going viral. They just don't give in to the algorithm either. They're not putting shirtless photos or beach photos up, or explicit sexually oriented type photos up, and they're not getting the engagement. For those listening too, I'm drinking a coffee, so sorry if you have to hear the little slurp, but if you're watching along you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now here's another very important point that I wanted to cover, and that is someone being in good shape with abs or nice glutes or simply being attractive, like I said before, does not qualify that person to give you health and fitness advice, and more importantly, medical advice. We tend to put people on a pedestal based solely on their looks or the life that they portray on social media. I think that is one of the most concerning and most dangerous parts of the health and fitness industry right now, is equating somebody's physique as far as an ideal physique for the majority of people as them being able to give you health and fitness advice specific to you and your needs, and also misleading people quite easy, telling them they can achieve something. I'm going to get into this a little bit more after, but that is one factor we really have to think about. There's so many amazing physiques out there, physically appealing people on Instagram. That is what the algorithm is all about. So people are going to put themselves on a pedestal and only share the best photos of themselves. But at the same time, they don't really have a brain inside their head. You can't see the fact that they are an airhead, or they are very uneducated or ignorant, or very dismissive of evidence-based information, and that's because they equate their whole worth, they equate their knowledge with having achieved this body. For many reasons, they can achieve this body, which I'm going to get into more later on. But please, as a reminder, don't think somebody simply being in great shape or having a physique that you aspire to is going to allow them to be able to help you or give you the advice you need safely and also respectfully and in a very unselfish way, I guess I'd like to say. So they're not just doing it for the money, they're taking your money and just giving you a very generic cookie cutter type program, we like to say. You have to be very, very careful with this, because with this next point I'm going to go into, I've kind of touched on it already, is people forget that social media is a place that people can portray themselves in any way they wish. They're perfect in every single way. So they have endless tools and technology like Photoshop, AI, and so on, to be able to portray themselves however they want. So even a lot of the photos that people are sharing and the physiques that they're portraying, and even the lifestyles, the cars they drive, this is all bullshit. It is all fake for you to want to purchase something off this person. They're literally, as the saying goes, selling you a lifestyle that is unattainable and one that they haven't even achieved themselves. I'm going to give you some tips as we go along on how to avoid this, and just some reminders. I know how hard it is. You could listen to this podcast or watch this podcast and then tomorrow be mindlessly scrolling again and believing everything you see on social media. Am I guilty of it? Yes, I'm guilty of portraying myself in the best way possible. I don't want to put up a shitty physique photo. I have in the past. I do show my before and afters when I'm not in crazy shredded shape compared to when I am. I am lucky enough, you can call it lucky. I do work very hard to maintain a somewhat lean, strong, and appealing physique for myself. But at the end of the day, I'm not in crazy shredded, absolutely like Instagram level, take a million shots type quality. What's the word? I'm not in that tier of shape all year round, because it is very unrealistic. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as we go along. So I want you to think about that a little bit more, and then think about people who are selling you programs, people who are portraying themselves as very knowledgeable. It's not just their profiles and their pictures and things that a lot of the time that they're faking. It is the fake success, the fake bodies, but also fake followers, fake clients, and client transformations are huge these days. I don't think people realize how easy it is for somebody to put a fake before and after photo of not even a real person. I've shared these videos before of the AI videos of doctors dressed in the doctor's uniform giving health advice, and it's not even a real person, but people are commenting and saying thank you and having these in-depth conversations with what they don't even realize is an AI generated, computer generated person giving health advice, which is absolute madness. So, like I said, not rambling on too much, I want to go into some easy ways to differentiate or separate a fitness or health influencer or lifestyle influencer from an actual quality coach, somebody who is qualified, has been doing this a long time, who is very educated in their space and passionate about giving you value for your time, and most of the time your money also. So I'll go with an influencer's example, and then I'll go with a coach's example. I hope that if you have kids and they're in their teens or late teens, early 20s, that you can show them this video also, and just as a reminder, like from somebody who has done myself, I'd like to think that I've been very successful in the health and fitness industry. I've done photo shoots with some of the biggest names in the industry, and overseas in Europe and traveled around with fitness models and collaborated with some of the best physiques in the world. And myself, I know the difference between an influencer and a quality coach. So hopefully hearing it from me, you can see that I am, more than anything, as much as I post on social media and obviously try and portray my best side, my quality side, I am a real person, and I'm always going to give authenticity, and I'm also always going to call out bullshit when I see it. And I've got some good examples of history. I keep receipts. That's what I want to say to you. If you're one of these influencers and you're listening to this and you feel attacked by the end of this episode, good, because I keep my receipts. I know trainers personally, which I'll give some examples later on. I'm not going to drop names, but they will know who they are when I'm talking about them. And they're probably going to get their knickers in a twist, which means they're going to get uptight and they're going to get a little bit uncomfortable with some of the topics that I'm covering because they're guilty of it. And I've called people out time and time again for selling bullshit, taking advantage of people, and portraying something that they are not. Anyway, back to what I wanted to do, and that is give you the points or some main ways or strategies to tell the difference between an fitness influencer and a quality coach or fitness or health professional. So influencers, I covered this, generally only post polished photos and workout videos, and you never see them simply speaking on camera like in real life as a person like I am right now. They might do their little reels. They might put a big face of makeup on or make sure it's the right lighting or have their top off and talk to you, for a minute and a half, but you're not seeing them having in-depth conversations about health, about fitness, about life. They're not running a podcast like this and showing their vulnerabilities and doing it unscripted. This is so unscripted right now. If you're watching this, you can see I'm literally in one of my bedrooms at my house. I have a mic set up. I have the computer with my notes. I've got a coffee, but I'm not editing any of the things that I say. That's why I'll stuff up every now and then. I'll have pauses because I'm thinking on the spot, but I'm not scared to because this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. And I'm not going to edit out or portray myself as smarter than I actually am or better than I actually am. I'm just trying to provide value and trying to show that there still is very reputable and caring coaches in this industry and health professionals in this industry. So, like I said, an influencer isn't going to show you their worst photo angles. They're not going to show you a bad day. They're not going to show you things like, which might sound concerning, but they're going to show you their eating disorder behind the camera. They're not going to show you their bad relationship that they have, the toxic relationship. They're not going to show you the fact that they work 9 to 5 or they work night shifts and work really hard jobs outside of their social media life that they've betrayed. They're not going to show you that stuff because they want you to think that they are better than you and you need them in order to achieve your goals. So that's what you have to think about. On the other hand, a coach will post their workouts and quality photos too, of course. I've done it many times. I've done modeling photo shoots. I've shared those photos. I take photos of my physique every now and then. I share my before and afters. I still want to look my best, of course, but I'm not using Photoshop, that's for sure. I'm not editing my photos in any way when it comes to how big or small I am and how defined I am. I'm simply taking a photo, maybe in some good lighting every now and then, but it's very real. It's exactly who I am and it is attainable. So they'll also share. See, I'm stuffing up now as I'm saying this because I'm not editing anything. They will show raw, unfiltered, and the unscripted side. Failures, insecurities. I've talked about this many times. Not that I have as many insecurities as I used to growing up. We all do. As you're a young teenager or early 20s, you have a lot of insecurities. Luckily enough for me, I've been able to overcome them through looking after myself, through training, through my nutrition, just living a healthy, positive lifestyle. I've been able to get over them. I'm not saying I still don't have insecurity. I still don't get nervous in public sometimes. everybody does. They'd be lying if they say they don't. And a lot of the time, the false bravado and confidence is hiding very big insecurities for a lot of people. That's just the reality. Okay, another influencer type thing you would have to look out for would be they'll never or very rarely share their failures or admit that they are wrong. They'd rather argue or double down on their opinions even if they are factually wrong. So some good examples of this would be people who are coaching others and they say, you have to do it my way. This is the only way that works. For example, a coach mightn't eat carbs. So they tell you can't eat carbs. Oh, I didn't eat carbs. That's how I got my results. That's how I lost all this body fat. And if you want the results, then you're going to have to do the same. You can't get these results or attain my lifestyle or this perfect physique if you eat carbs. It's just not going to happen, which is absolute factual bullshit. You can. So they promote something like keto, for example. Now, I'm not just labeling these diets as wrong or right. Nothing wrong with keto if it works for you, especially for people who might have certain medical issues that are very intolerant to some carbohydrates or to gluten, for example. They might go keto. Totally fine. I'm not just talking about keto, though. I'm talking about things like them pushing their way onto you. It could be intermittent fasting. It could be high carb, low fat. It could be anything. They shouldn't be pushing their way onto you because, as you should know, people's eating habits, the necessities, the things that they need to do and their goals and their bodies are so individual, so versatile, and they should be able to find something that is long-term, sustainable for them to follow and doesn't feel like they're on an extreme diet or having to cancel out whole food groups in order to achieve a healthy, quality body or lifestyle. It just isn't the case. So that is a huge red flag there and something that a lot of influencers do. And another thing with influencers, I didn't even have this written down. A lot of these points I don't have written down, kind of just have dot points, but promoting products all the time. Use this discount code to buy my protein powder or my pre-workout or these clothes. It's all just a sales pitch. You have to think about this. People will literally get you signed up to their coaching and then also force you to buy certain products they are associated with, which is just plain and simple marketing and scamming and getting as much money as they can. Very selfish and self-absorbed, I would say. If you are basically basing all your sales and your help for others off what you can get out of it. That should never be the way. You can pretty much tell a really good coach from an influencer or somebody who is money focused and greedy by how much they try and sell you and upsell you all the time. You should feel like you're paying for something that you are getting amazing value for. You are getting the time, the energy, and more importantly, you are getting the results. If you ever feel like something is too expensive or you feel like you're getting taken advantage of, then 99% of the time you probably are. Now, I'm not saying coaching isn't expensive. I'm not saying getting your workouts customized to you and video check-ins with a coach isn't expensive at times. It can be, but you should also feel like you're getting your value for your money and you don't feel like you're just buying irrelevant things you don't need or buying things that just don't suit what your goals are, what your lifestyle is, what your needs are. If you feel like that's not happening, then more than likely you need to find a new coach. You need to find somebody more reputable that can help you. Coaches, on the other hand, like I said, I'll go back to the first point or the last point I made on influencers. Rarely post their failures and double down if they are wrong. They won't admit that they are wrong. Where coaches, on the other hand, myself included, and I could reel off a few other very reputable coaches. Lane Norton is a really good example of this. Almost look forward to being proven wrong and learning new things and are quick to admit they are wrong. I say this all the time. I've been in the industry a long time now and I say that things that I was telling people 10 years ago don't even apply anymore. I used to think, intermittent fasting was the be all and end all. I used to think that you had to avoid certain foods in order to drop body fat. I used to think you had to do excessive amounts of cardio to sustain a healthy body or a nice, lean, ripped body. And as science evolves and as more information comes out, we are often proved wrong. And I have no problem admitting that I am wrong. I'm the first to admit that I'm wrong, and I'm actually happy when I learn, because the sooner I learn that I'm wrong about something, the sooner I can help people. The sooner I can relay that information to people that need it. So that is a huge thing there. I've got some examples soon of this. Like I've said, as I go along, we'll talk about that. Another one, influencers. I only focus on, you would have noticed this a lot. Type in glute workout on Instagram. What do you see? You basically got asses all in your face on the screen from girls predominantly, obviously with glute workouts, doing cable kickbacks and RDLs on an angle that you can't even see their face or the rest of their body. There's just a big ass right in your face. So they focus on these type of workouts. So glamour muscles, whether it's glutes or guys showing their shoulders, biceps and abs, to dig into your insecurities so you'll pay for their programs. And the algorithm also promotes this as well. So it's not completely on these influencers that they do this thing. They just know that if they do it, they sexualize the fitness industry, or they do things that are going to bring attention. They're going to get more clicks. They're going to get more drives to their page, and the algorithm's going to encourage that engagement. But again, irrelevant. So some more key examples, influencers will tell you things like, they'll promise you can spot reduce fat from problem areas like, oh, I need to get rid of my chicken wing arms, or I don't like this fat accumulating around my stomach or under my chin. Unfortunately, you can't spot reduce body fat on your body. So if somebody's trying to sell you that, trying to tell you do these exercises because they're going to help you lose fat in those areas, they're talking absolute garbage. So don't think of that. Not only that, they're going to give you irrelevant exercises, and even worse, show complete lack of understanding when it comes to muscle groups and basic movement patterns. So you'd see some of the exercises that people do online are less effective in comparison to them just looking for clicks and pretending like they've got some secret when it comes to growing a muscle group or training effectively. A lot of the exercises you see on social media are absolute bullshit. Not only that, they're completely irrelevant and dangerous when it comes to the goals of what you're trying to achieve and the muscles that you're trying to work and grow and improve on. So keep that in mind. A lot of the great coaches, the coaches that have been in the industry for a long time, will tell you strength training especially is very repetitive. There's only so many exercises you can do and you should do in order to build a really good, well-balanced, strong physique. You could do the same. If you've got the exercises you need in your program to hit all of your muscle groups evenly and progressively overload, whether it's through volume or through weight, then you're going to get results. You're going to get great results. You could do the same workout for 100 years, but as long as you are progressively overloading and using all those muscle groups that you want to, you're going to get the results. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to, only do glute day or hip thrusts or cable kickbacks or train abs every single day doing thousands of sit-ups. You don't have to do all these extremities to build a very good physique. Yes, it is good to try new things in the gym. It is good to switch up your programs more for sustainability, so you start to not look forward to the gym. You should be changing things up and keeping it interesting and exciting for sure, and trying different things, because then you know what works for you. I tell gym newbies all the time, people that come into the gym, I say, just because you see the majority of people doing a certain exercise doesn't mean you have to do that exercise in order to get great results. Barbell back squat is a perfect example of this. You see people saying, oh, you have to barbell squat if you want to build your legs. It's the best exercise for your legs. But what if you got back problems? What if you can't execute the movement safely, or you just don't feel comfortable and you absolutely despise a barbell squat? Go and use a leg press. You can use a leg press and get exactly the same results as you would with a barbell squat to progressively overload, feel safe, feel confident. Go and do that. There's 100 different exercises to hit a muscle group. So find the ones that work for you when it comes to that. And I probably covered this point in comparison to influencers' workouts and what they promote on Instagram and all that shit. Coaches won't ever overcomplicate your training or sell you quick fixes or promote only one way for you to achieve your goals. They won't tell you, oh, you have to train exactly like me to get your goals, because we're all so different. We're different heights, weights, different capabilities, different ranges of motion. I said this before, they won't promote their way of eating as the best way. They should be able to find you your best, most healthy and sustainable way of eating for your goals. They should be able to work with you and have the knowledge to be able to customize everything to your needs and your wants while still getting you the best results. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to give you some really clear examples of influencer fails and fitness scams or scammers. And this is going to make a few people feel uncomfortable, but I'm happy to do it because people are probably lucky that I'd like to say I'm a very caring, kind person. People are lucky I don't actually name them and call them out here on social media and cause a storm, because to be honest, I don't want the drama. And like I said before, even if I did, people like this aren't going to admit that they're wrong. They're going to backpedal, they're going to double down, they're going to take it personally, and they're never going to admit they're wrong or they were scamming people in the first place. But while people are listening to this, especially people in my hometown where I'm from, will know that they'll have plenty of examples of people that have done these type of things. But I'll give you some famous ones first. The Liver King. There is a documentary on Netflix about this guy. Just look him up, and a couple years ago, he was like the most followed, most popular fitness influencer on social media. He went by basically, he tried to sell what he would call like a certain amount of tenants to live the Liver King lifestyle, which was basically living as natural as possible to the point where he would say that he didn't even use a mattress. He'd sleep on like a wooden floor. He'd simplify everything. He'd go out and slaughter animals on his farm and things, and then eat all their organs and their body parts, the meat, the liver, the testicles even. He would eat these things raw and say it was the only way to achieve the physique that he had. He betrayed and basically pulled a rug under everybody and deceived everyone into thinking that the physique he had, crazy physique, but the moment I saw it, within 10 seconds, I knew he was on steroids. I knew he was talking absolute bullshit. Anybody who had been in the industry for a long time knew this guy was full of shit. But his viral content, eating liver, eating raw testicles, eating meat with his family, going out hunting and walking around with his shirt off all day with what is clearly a steroid-enhanced body. Like, unbelievable physique. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but clearly on steroids. I called it straight away, and I had fellow PTs at one stage that I worked in a gym with, that I was arguing with and telling them, in due time, he's going to come out and tell you that he's on steroids. He's going to have to admit it. You can only sweep these things under the rug for so long and take advantage of people for so long before your true character comes out. So this guy's clearly on steroids. He didn't build this physique from eating raw testicles and liver and doing all these stupid tenets that he talked about, this lifestyle he was living. And sure enough, what happened? A few years later, evidence came out that he was on crazy amounts of steroids. He was spending, I think, upwards of like $12,000 a month just on steroids. And he certainly didn't build his physique from eating liver and raw ingredients and living by these tenets he supposedly was living by. Go and look up the Netflix series. It'll give you all the information you need on this. But I specifically remember having an argument. It wasn't even an argument. Someone was trying to argue with me about the fact that no, this guy, no, he's genuine. He's helping so many people, spreading positivity, and this physique it's definitely achievable if you follow this. And this personal trainer in particular started actually sharing on his story that he was eating liver and trying all these stupid things that this liver king was doing, and fully invested and believed in what this guy was doing. And that was a qualified personal trainer who'd probably been in the industry as long as me. It just showed how well this guy was at influencing people and scamming people out of their money. And the funny thing, and an even funnier thing about this guy was he was promoting this lifestyle, but at the same time he was selling all these products. He was selling supplements. He was selling proteins and clothing and all these different things. So it was just a big sales marketing scam. A very great and very good example and good reminder for people out there not to believe everything you see on social media. That was the first one. And like I said, I'm good at calling out bullshit. I wouldn't call it out unless I was 100% sure that it was bullshit. I turned out to be right. Way before he got caught, way before the emails and things came out that the YouTuber More Plates, More Dates brought out and exposed this scammer, as we like to call him now. Another one, anyone who has sold skinny teas, isogenics, you know who you are. Look back on my social media. Discover You products, anything labeled as a quick fix where majority of the time they're selling you a shake diet or a skinny tea diet. They're basically selling you a product that will force you into a caloric deficit, an extremity that will basically starve you into fat loss. That's pretty much what these products do. And I know multiple personal trainers, I wouldn't even call them reputable coaches these days. I've called them out that many times. I've seen their character. I know what they are like. They're pretty much what I said before, very, very selfish, very greedy type people selling these type of products to the vulnerable, the people out there that are desperate, that have tried things before and failed. Get them while they're at their lowest and sell them these shitty products that do absolutely nothing when it comes to fat loss, and reel them in long enough until they get some results, but also eventually realize it is a very unsustainable method. You know who you are. Look up, most of you, if you're following me, you probably follow Adam Sutherland. Shout out to him. He did an amazing video on the day in the life of a isogenics consultant. Look that reel up, and it's exactly what these type of people are like. It was an amazing video. I keep it on my phone and look at it quite often for another laugh and a reminder of what social media can be like and what these scammers in the industry can be like, and so-called fitness influencers. Another really good example of this, and I feel sorry for this poor lady in a while, but in a way I feel sorry for this lady because it went so viral, and she just happened to be the scapegoat for. She's not the only one that has done this, but it goes back to people having no idea of physiology, basic movement patterns, muscle groups in the body, and how they work biomechanically. But she tried to demonstrate an alternative to a lat pull-down exercise. And basically what she was doing, if you're watching this on YouTube, she was doing a shoulder press with dumbbells and calling it an alternative to a lat pull-down exercise, which is crazy, calling it a dumbbell lat pull-down on Instagram. So look up, type in on the search bar on Instagram, dumbbell lat pull down, and you'll find the video. Sorry to this lady, but I have to show this. I'm sure she has learned from this, well hopefully she has, that you have to become educated before you post things on social media, because eventually you're going to get caught. This lady has a great physique from what I can see on social media. I don't know if it's, I'm guessing she's naturally attained. It looks like she trains hard and things. I don't know. I could question her physique because she got caught doing this, but at the end of the day, a perfect example of somebody giving fitness advice and training advice in particular which is completely utter garbage and very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. That's probably a thing I should say as well. Like with social media these days, it's made people so confident in posting on social media without realizing the risk that if they do something wrong and they get caught, they're going to get butchered. They're going to have like a career ending type situation if they're not careful. But people are just so confident these days in portraying themselves as experts and not thinking before they put themselves on a camera. I've probably fucked up in the past myself with different things, but I like to think that no matter what, my intentions are pure. I try and get the best possible results for people and give the best information. So I'm not scared to make a mistake like many other reputable coaches. We're not scared to make mistakes. We have your best intentions in mind, and that's why we do this ultimately. Another part, this might ruffle a few feathers, and that is anyone on steroids who won't admit they're on steroids. I have nothing wrong with people on steroids. I do have a problem with people on steroids who are selling exercise programs and supplements and days of eating, telling people and giving people advice, but not being transparent with the fact that they achieve their physique through steroids. Like I said, nothing wrong with that. You might coach other people who are on gear, another word for steroids, but stop trying to sell people your body that you achieved through steroids. Stop trying to tell other people that it is attainable naturally when you've obviously cheated to get your physique. It's very distrusting. I think it's one of the worst things in the industry. And this same goes for women who have BBLs or have all these plastic surgeries. They're made of plastic and they're trying to portray that they got these results from simply training in the gym naturally. That's probably one of my biggest gripes on social media these days. And not even that, they might even have surgeries. They might do all their videos through AI, like I said before. It's just absolutely disgusting and disappointing and pisses me off. But that's the way the world is these days. And I'm going to give you some ways to think about that or how to navigate this and make sure that you aren't getting taken advantage of when it comes to these type of people out there. Another note I'll just quickly say on this is influencers look like they are in incredible shape all year round. Yeah, a lot are. I'm not saying you can't be. I like to think that myself. I maintain a very very fit, healthy physique all year round. But like I said before, I'm not in Instagram shredded peak condition all year round, especially in these winter months. I put a bit of body fat on deliberately. I train a little bit different. I eat a little bit more and just get comfortable before the summer season comes around. So if I took photos now, which I do, compared to when I'm in summer in crazy shredded shape, sometimes you wouldn't even think like I've been to the gym. You wouldn't even think like I train or have been training for so long based on my physique. It might look very, very average in the off, like what I like to call the off season. I've actually right now committed to like a 2-year period of time where I want to build some muscle, which if you're doing it naturally, you're going to put on a bit of body fat. You're going to look a little bit soft, but I'm not concentrating on the most aesthetic look right now. I'm not concentrating on being as shredded as possible. I've got receipts on my Instagram. Have a look how shredded I can get. Have a look what I can maintain year round if I want to. What I'm trying to say is, unless you are fully enhanced or you're pretty gifted, it's very hard. Or you've been in the industry a long time, you've trained for a very long time, you have a lot of built muscle on your body. It's very hard to stay super ripped and super lean all year round. So the method people will use, especially influencers, a lot of the time, they'll either use Photoshop, as said, they'll use AI, or they'll get in crazy shape for a few weeks and take as many photos as they can in different scenarios, different places, different outfits, and then spread those over the whole year. It's not hard to take 300 something photos when you are absolutely shredded in different outfits and different environments, and then spread them out over the year to portray a certain lifestyle that you are living and maintaining. It's very easy to do that on social media, so keep that in mind. A lot of the people that portray this lifestyle that they're living, Don't look like that all the time. Keep that in mind. Now, the last point I want to make on this, because I don't want to ramble on too long, is probably the most important, and that is if you were getting coaching off somebody online, make sure they're a real person. It probably sounds stupid saying this and having to actually say that, but make sure the coach that is coaching you is a real person. You can have that personal contact with them. If they're in a different place, well, first of all, if they're happen to be in the same city or same town, try and organize a face-to-face catch up with them to talk about your goals and actually make sure they are who they say they are, or regularly set up a video chat with this person on FaceTime or a video call check-in. I do this regularly with my clients. I check in like this on video and go through their goals and make sure they got what they need, and also as a way to show them who I am as a person and build that personal relationship with my clients for them to know that I'm genuine and I'm caring and I actually am who I say I am. That is a huge part of social media these days. I have no idea the amount of people who invest in programs of coaches who probably aren't even real. They're probably not even communicating with this person if it's through email or even through WhatsApp or Messenger. They think they're actually talking to this coach when they've probably got a team of people working for them and sending you these programs and communicating for them. I could do this with my business if I wanted to. I could have a lot of people under me working for me and getting back to emails and messages and just giving them a script to follow for people's coaching, but that's just not who I am. I like to be as genuine as possible and put as much effort as I can into my clients. And if they're going to invest in me, then I want to give them the best service possible. And how do I know I'm doing that? By doing it myself, not relying on other people or having to worry what other people are doing as far as my coaching goes. So that is probably the biggest point there. Make sure you are getting your influence and your coaching and your goals from real people, from genuine people, from people that aren't just trying to get as much money as they can off you or just trying to vie for your attention. Really think about that on social media. I hope I've given you enough points without rambling on too much. Definitely check out some of the examples I've given. And I'm not scared as well to promote other coaches that I know more than me or are really good. I like to think that because I promote other coaches, that people know that I am genuine. They'll still come for me or come to me for help. Whether I know someone might be a little bit better than me. Like I'm not saying I'm the best coach out there. I know there's better coaches than me, but I know that if people come to me, they're going to get that genuine support. They're going to get the best coaching possible based on science, based on reality, and based on their goals. A few coaches I would check out. I'm not scared to say it. I don't care if people go to them for coaching. At least I know that they're getting great coaching. Would be Dr. Lane Norton on Instagram. Coach Mark Carroll is amazing. Danny Kennedy from Melbourne is a great coach. There's some really good coaches. I could probably ramble off a lot of good coaches. Some of my friends out there, I'm not sure if he's still coaching or not, but Lee Constantino, I've had him on the podcast before. Check that out. I've had both of these other coaches on my podcast for a reason, Anton and Natasha Costalis, sister and brother, great coaches also, and very down my lane and very trustworthy. So like I said, I'm not scared to ramble off different coaches because I'm fearful that they're going to steal clients off me or whatever. There's enough clients out there for everybody, enough people out there to help. So like everything I do, I like to promote the best information possible, best coaches and best advice I can give. So I hope you found this episode helpful. I hope you can share it with everybody who may need to hear it. I've got some crazy nightmare stories, some that popped into my head, which I will quickly, before I wrap this up, I actually want to talk about. And here's some really crazy examples. So I've had clients come to me after they've been with other coaches, coach with them, for a year, and they've said things like, my coach forced me to stay away from certain foods. They told me I had to hit my calories and macros exactly. Anybody who knows how hard it is to hit, say, your protein, carbs, fats, and calories exactly is almost impossible. I've had clients come to me from other coaches and say, yeah, my coach was saying I had to hit everything exactly in order to get results. I had to hit my protein, my carbs and fats to the gram and my calories as well. Do you know how much of a puzzle piece that is to achieve? It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I've had clients come to me saying they got promoted to have skinny teas or or shakes or different things over the years. Just some of the things that some so-called coaches are promoting are absolute garbage and so concerning and so dangerous. Also, I don't think majority of people out there on social media should be giving advice on things that they're not qualified in, especially when it comes to people managing chronic diseases or serious health issues or eating disorders or people who might have had surgeries and they have to avoid certain exercises or foods. You've got to be so careful when it comes to who you choose as a coach, and you should be able to differentiate between a bullshit influencer or a scammer or somebody who just might know. There might be an influencer or a fitness coach out there who is great, but they're just not qualified enough to give you the advice you need. I'm first to pass somebody on to somebody else if I feel like I don't have the skills or knowledge equipped to help that person in the best way possible and the safest way possible. That's probably why I give my clients so many books. Ask any of my clients. And I've probably given them a book before or book recommendations because I want them to absorb the knowledge and get the knowledge off the experts in that field, and also understand where I get my information from also. So I don't want to ramble on too long. This podcast has probably gone longer than I wanted it to. I try realistically to keep them to 40 minutes. This one has gone a little bit over, so I'm going to wrap this video and this podcast up here. I really hope you got something out of it. Please share it. Tag me at Grant Roberts PT. Promote the podcast, and I'll keep these episodes coming. So thanks for listening or watching.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's podcast and found it helpful, share it on your Instagram story, and don't forget to tag me at Grant Roberts PT.